Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to the What's Your Excuse show. I'm Maxwell Ivy, known around the world as The Blind Blogger, and you can find me and the show at theblindblogger.net. And today I'm going to be, wait a minute. And you can also, at theblindblogger.net, you can hire me to get you connected with other podcasters and radio show hosts so you can share your story, reach new audiences, and build your brand. So today I'm having I think this is only the second time I've had somebody back on the show, but my good friend Michael Babcock from yourownpay.com is going to be with us today. And he is an online business person, a course creator, a automation specialist, has his own podcast on the Your Own Pay network. And basically, Mike is my tech guy. If there's anything I can't figure out why the heck I can't do it, and it involves the internet, my phone, my tablet, all that stuff, I ask Michael. But he's much more than that, and you'll get to know him even more today. So hi, Michael. Welcome to the What's Your Excuse show.
Hey, Max. Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, I'm hearing you good.
Awesome. Real quick, want to let your listeners know, hopefully you don't have a problem with it. If I mention something in today's episode, you can get a copy of that emailed to you at yourownpay.com/Max. So head over there to get a copy of any of the resources we mentioned today.
Yeah, and I really am impressed that you do that. I should do it more as often as I'm on other people's podcasts, but it's not a good use of my time.
It's something that I want to try doing this year. And that's something like my mailing list right now, everyone thinks it's huge. It's only 300 people, just under 300 people. 295, I think, is what I'm sitting at right now. I've got a 14% open rate, 14% click-through rate, and like a 29% open rate or something like that on average.
All right. Let's first slow down and explain that for anybody who doesn't have an automated email list. What that means is he has 300 actual subscribers that 29% of the time when he sends out a new email to his list, when he sends out a new email to his list, 29% of those people will actually open the email. And of those people who open the email, almost 15% will click through to whatever it is he's asking them to do as an action that he has requested them to take. Now, I know we have a lot of people who are online business people, but we never really know who's going to watch this and win. So I just wanted to slow down for a second and make sure we covered that.
But see, my failure there is I haven't been selling anything to them. I'm just generating traffic to my website. The turnover on that, though, is that I'm tracking that people are spending more time on my website and actually consuming the podcast, which is what I want, because right now the monetization strategy behind that is affiliate marketing to ConvertKit.
Right. So the fact that you aren't selling them anything directly through your list isn't hurting you because it's getting them on your website, more time on site, more podcast downloads, more listens, which means they're more likely to hear about your offer through the Connect. Say that company's name again. ConvertKit, yeah. And you get paid every time somebody signs up with ConvertKit and starts using them. So, I'm sorry, what?
$8.70 a month every time someone pays the $29 ConvertKit fee on their base plan.
Right. So this is another way of monetizing a business. And of course, many people now know about affiliate marketing, but finding good companies to affiliate with and finding companies that will pay you like that, that's almost, almost a third of their gross that they're paying you in the form 30%. Of an affiliate commission?
30% is what I get paid. And the cool thing about it is there's a delay on that commission. And I don't know if this is the direction you want to go in, but we're going to anyways, because you know me, that's how it ends up. But there's a delay in their commission. So let's say you went and you signed up today, and we're going to take the free trial aspect out of it, because at yourownpay.com, you can sign up for my mailing list, and you'll get access to a free trial, which is coded to me as an affiliate. So that way I get paid when you decide to pay ConvertKit. But so let's say Max goes to ConvertKit today, and he signs up and he gives ConvertKit $29 out of his account. He's like, I know Michael Michael, I trust him. I want to pay them. I trust him with my wallet. So then I will get an email that says, hey, you have a new paying customer that you have a potential commission of $8.70. Now, ConvertKit offers a 30-day money-back guarantee for the customer's benefit. So as an affiliate, I have to wait 30 days before that commission is quote unquote approved. And those of you on video can see me using my hands, trying to leverage some audio description here at the same time. So quote unquote approved. And so let's say that today is today's the 17th that we're recording this. So on February 17th, my commission will be approved from Max. So I'll get another email that says, hey, you got an $8.70 commission that was approved for a sale that you made. I can log in and get his email. It doesn't tell me that information. I don't really care. We can talk about converting those sales into future sales later if we need to. But anyways, ConvertKit only pays out once a month. So I will get paid on that on March 1st or 2nd, depending on how that lands, or possibly the 3rd. So yes, there's a delay, and that's what some people don't understand. They're like, oh, I didn't get paid because Max bought from me. Yeah, you're going to get paid from Max in a couple of months because the company has to protect themselves from scammers going out and signing up 1,000 people and then refunding 500 after they get paid. So just want to throw that out.
And these are all pretty standard parts of affiliate agreements. And at least they don't require you to generate a certain amount of money for these sales before they pay you. For example, with royalties from Audible or Amazon, it has to exceed $100 before they will send you a check. And for some people, getting to that first $100 may take several months before they see that first check. So at least with ConvertKit, they're sending out a check every month, regardless of how much money you have earned in that month, as long as it's at least one referral.
I believe that is accurate. I just want to confirm that because I'm going to send this over to Alexis at ConvertKit, who's the affiliate manager. So I believe that's accurate. If not, let us know in the show notes, in the comments. I know they used to have a $100 threshold, but I think I saw a notification in the Facebook group for the affiliate saying that they've removed that threshold. So I think that's accurate, but don't quote us on it.
It could be that after you are an affiliate for a while, they remove that threshold. It could be one of those situations. But if they posted it to their Facebook group,
I will tell you that my minimum commission from ConvertKit is $8.70. My apologies. It used to be that you used to have a minimum of $100 before you can make your first cash out. But I think they've eliminated that. And if you just make one sale, you can get your $8.70.
All right. Yeah. Now, see, I've been told that this is actually the charm of my show, that I don't have a script or a set question order as far as how we're going to do things, because, it gives it an energy that other shows don't have. So my intent was to ask a whole nother question, but, but hey, this is the thing. These are the things that people who are thinking about starting a business, they worry about. They think about, and they use as excuses not to actually take action and start their business. And the whole idea of having an email list, which everybody online says, you got to have a list. You got to have a list. You got to sell from your list. You got to sell from your list. And a lot of people are probably thinking, well, when I Google creating a list, there's like 20-something different email providers I could use to create my list. So this is great stuff here.
Well, your other question, loop back to it, because
I know we're going to get
has brought me back into bringing the passion into what I do again after my previous adventures before last.
Yeah, and that was the first question I had for Michael. So thanks for reminding me. For those of you who don't know, Michael has been doing. He's been online in business in several different ways for a long time now. But last year, he decided to take a more traditional job for a short time. And I don't know if at the time it was something he planned on doing for a long time and changing his passion to a side hustle, or if it was intended to be temporary to begin with. But I was hoping that you could talk to us. First off, Michael, what was it that made you decide to take this opportunity in the first place? Were you feeling pressure from yourself or your spouse or your online community? What was it that drove you to take on this job?
All right, so it's a long journey. You know me. I can talk forever. So so
I will if I have to. Okay.
okay, sounds good. It actually starts a long time ago, it sounds like. So first of all, I got started online in 2012. Those of you who don't know, I was the assistive technology instructor back in yeah, those of you who don't know, I was the assistive technology instructor in Alaska in 2012. And that was fun, but my mother unfortunately suddenly passed away. So that caused me to have to go home and, go to Montana and take care of my younger brothers because we'll just say that taking care of little boys wasn't a priority of my dad at the time after losing his spouse of 20 some odd years. So we ended up taking custody of the boys over the time. And I came to find out that, I am able to work, but I'm going to be spending as much money as what I'm making, roughly, paying someone to take me back and forth to work. And unfortunately, when we get back up to 2018, I learned the hard way that not only paying someone was the difficult thing, but relying on someone to be there on time when you expected them to be was kind of difficult as well. So in 2012, I started exploring CPA opportunities and started just dabbling around, making a little bit of money here and there. I had a couple $500-$600 days, and that sounds like a lot of money to people, but when you figure out that you can find companies that'll pay you $100 per conversion, it's really not that difficult to do. And so I never really systematized teaching other people what I was doing, and that's something important to learn in the future. And we can loop back to systematizing if we want. And so for 2012 through 2016, 2017, I just played around. In 2014 or 15, I'm trying to remember, it was 14, I started the podcast, the Your Own Pay podcast, and that was a way for me to share what I was learning about affiliate marketing and CPA opportunities with other blind individuals, primarily helping them to build their business online. But the problem was I had no confidence in what I was doing, and so I wasn't selling myself. Which caused a little bit of stress, not at home. Oh, yeah, a little bit of stress at home between us, but a lot of stress in my mind, I want to say, because I was saying, hey, I'm this man. I'm a blind individual. I'm perfectly capable of taking care of my family. But I'm relying on Social Security, trying to teach other individuals how to get off of Social Security, and it's not working very well because I'm not off of Social Security myself. So I'm like, wait, this is it. That's why I'm not finding success. So I applied for a couple of jobs, a couple of work from home jobs, because my passion was working from home and I wanted to teach other individuals how to do that, how to make your own pay working from home, because not everyone was a salesperson. So I explored a couple of customer service work from home positions and they didn't really pan out, mostly when they found out that I was blind and that I used assistive technology. They're like, oh, our software doesn't work. Come to find out, a lot of the times they're told their software doesn't work by people who don't know how to use the software, who don't know how to use assistive technology with their software in sometimes unconventional ways that can make their software more accessible. And so I didn't realize that in the past, and now I have realized that. So I kept exploring work from home opportunities, and I found a call center in Coos Bay, which is roughly about 15 miles away from where I live. And I'm like, well, Mallory, I'm going to try this, see how it works out. And I originally intended on it being a potential full-time position for long-term, with the ability to learn management skills, because I wanted to learn how to be a manager. That was my original goal. And the ability to learn how to how to actually run a successful business, because I'd been doing this online business for several years and I wasn't finding success. So I knew I was missing something, and come to find out that something was systems. And so in 2018, I finally got hired on at First Call Resolution, and I am off a little bit because we're in 2019 now. So 2017 in December, I got hired at First Call Resolution and worked there through June of 2018. And then my son, who primarily lives in Alaska, came to see me during his normal summer visit. And I had to make the decision of either quitting First Call Resolution, going part-time to first call resolution, or staying full-time and not spending time with my son, and or giving up the podcast and blog. I'm almost done, just so you know, Max. I only got another minute or two of talking. I just realized I was talking for 5 minutes. And so the decision was kind of made for me when I was told that we can only offer you full-time employment or no employment. I'm like, well, if you can't do part-time, I got to spend the summer with my son. Like, I'm sorry. I've spent so many years not working. I'm not going to work and not spend time with Nicholas, because to me, family is more important than money. And so anyways, I went ahead and quit that job, gave him a 2-week notice, a 2-month notice, put on my birthday, so I can go back if I want to, and I might explore that in the future if they have some part-time opportunities. And then I started talking to a couple of individuals, a blind dad in Georgia and a blind dad in Trinidad and Tobago. And I started talking to them about the reasons and the decisions that I made for quitting my position in 2018. I tried to use a different word than quitting, because quitting sounds so harsh, so evil. Resigning or quitting in 2018.
Stick with the simple, honest words, Michael. You never get in trouble that way.
There you go. So quitting in 2018, and we started talking, and honestly, we're going to be launching a podcast hopefully in the spring called Wise Blind Dads, talking about the adventures of blind individuals. One of the dads in Trinidad and Tobago is raising a 15-year-old girl. And a 10-year-old girl, I think she is now. I'm raising a 12 and 11-year-old boy, and the dad in Georgia is raising a 4 and 1-year-old, I think, boy and girl. So it's going to be different ages, and all three of us are blind dads. So we're going to be chatting about that adventure. And when we started talking about that, I'm like, well, I have a passion for podcasting. I have a passion for talking, and I have if you guys didn't learned that already. And I have a passion for helping other individuals figure out creative ways to solve problems. So why not turn Your Own Pay into a podcast network, which is something that had been in the back of my mind forever. And so now I've got App of the Day, which is a podcast that I release on a biweekly basis. Then I've got the Demasi and Michael Just Talking Tech podcast series, which is a series with me and the gentleman from Georgia who I've been talking about, who has the 2 little ones. And we just talk tech. And then I've got Passionate Professional Blind Individuals on hiatus right now, coming back soon, interviewing just passionate professional blind individuals, others like myself who can talk forever about what they want to. And that's all we got right now. And Wise Blind Dads is coming soon. And I've got another podcast, a short, brief podcast coming soon about marketing and messaging, because it's taken forever for me to figure out my messaging. And so that's something that we've got coming out soon.
All right, I'm just going to back up a little. I'm going to recapsulate some of this stuff, and I'm going to make some suggestions here, okay? All right. Okay, so basically what Michael did is he started having these internal discussions with himself about, here I am, I'm teaching other people to become self-sufficient, yet I'm not self-sufficient myself. And it sounds like you had some of those feelings of, I must be a fraud, or if I'm not successful, how can I teach other people how to be successful?
Imposter syndrome is what
imposter syndrome. Yeah, exactly. Which, one of the things people need to realize is even after a few years, you can be doing everything right and still not be successful by other people's terms of what that looks like.
And it's mindset.
It is definitely mindset, and it's also using other people's definitions of success. Not only do you have to know that this is your dream and your passion, but you have to have an honest conversation with yourself is, okay, what does success look like to me, regardless of what anybody else thinks? And, say in your case, right now you're looking at helping 3 other people have podcasts. If to you, helping at least one new podcast launch a month, whether you or them or y'all combined are making money from it, would sound like a pretty good level of success from, just looking at it from my side of the thing. And you took a job. It wasn't what you wanted to do, but you thought you had to do it. You felt personally pressured to do it. But then you made a great decision when you got to the point where, okay, it's either the job or my family. It's job or personal satisfaction. You said, the hell with the job, which I personally congratulate. You are if you weren't already one of my heroes, you are now, because I've always had trouble choosing me over family. So for you to decide the hell with the job of doing what's best for the family, I think that's great. And then just a couple.
Can I interrupt real quick and just reassure to some listeners, because realize that might not be an option for everyone. I did have SSDI because I had employment in the past, so I did have something to rely on in the past.
This is so true.
Nothing.
Yeah, this is so true. You did, and you also, while we don't bring it up all the time, you also have a spouse who helps a little bit with this, and
she's our primary breadwinner. Like she makes our primary income. I have no problem admitting that, and she has no problem admitting that. And I stay home and take care of the kids and hustle what I do to try to make money. Well, in the past, it was hustle what I do to make money, and now it's hustle what I do to help others, and I happen to make money while I'm doing it, and it's naturally coming. Like, I got my biggest commission check this month from ConvertKit. I think it was $95 this month from ConvertKit, and typically my ConvertKit checks are like $17, $24, $32, something like that. So it's starting to pay off, and I'm having conversations with others, and we launched a new program, and we can talk about that later. But anyways,
yeah. So those are two things that I really wanted to make sure we covered those, that it wasn't outside pressure, it was internal pressure. You tried to do it the way everybody else does it for a while, but then eventually you came back to your passion. Just a couple of things, and one of these is something I was recently told I was good at, so I'm going to mention it to you. When you do interviews, try to leave places where pauses where the host can jump in. It's not really a thing with me because I love stories. I love long stories because I feel like it puts less stress on me as the host that way. The other thing is dates, years, they aren't all that important. If you can get close, there's no reason to go back and correct. And these are just things I'm throwing out there because I know there are people watching this who
and it helps
are going to do podcast interviews or radio interviews of their own. And these are the things I've had to learn that, like I say, that dates aren't as important as the experience or as the rough ideas to when the sequence in which things happened.
That helps me a lot get through it too.
Yeah. Easier to get through it too. So that's the thing. Now, you're helping these other people put podcasts out there. And one thing I am all about is if you don't say things that can happen, because it's only when you're willing to take ownership of them to the point that you're willing to share them with other people that they can become a thing. That's just my personal opinion. The other thing is I believe that if you don't ask, they can't say yes. So if for any of these people that you are helping to start a podcast, or if anybody in my audience is looking to start a podcast, or you've started a podcast and the audience isn't growing as fast as you would like it to be, then you should really reach out to me and let me connect you with other hosts like Michael so you can share your story and get more exposure for your podcast. That's just a little thing for the blindblogger.net that my coach has been after me more to promote myself as well. Since you mentioned that earlier, it's one of those things. One of my favorite bloggers, Ryan Badolf, every single blog post, every single Facebook post ends with a link, with a go buy my book, go check out my course. And it's one of those things even people that do this for a living still have those days where I just don't feel comfortable asking people to buy my stuff.
And, that comes to a barrier of entry. And I again, yourownpay.com/max to get access to this tool. It'll probably be an affiliate link. But I use a tool called Text Expander, and it makes me be honest with myself. So if I type /CD, it adds my content disclosure at the bottom of all my posts. So I don't have to worry about it. And then if you just type your quick snippet, it has your sales snippet in it, and then you hit post, then you don't even have to really think about, like, you type in /BB, and it has, don't forget, you can buy my book at theblindblogger.net/book, and then you just hit /BB and then enter at the bottom of your post. All of a sudden it's posted, and you know what, you're ready. You sold yourself, and it's at the bottom of your post. And it was a less barrier of entry because you didn't have to speak it, because I presume you dictate most of your messages.
And what you're saying is perfectly in line with what my coach has tried to tell me and what you were talking about earlier, systems. We have to put systems in place to make it easier for us to get the work done that we need to do without having to think about it or totally recreate it. So explain a little bit more what this text, what is
Text
it again?
expander. It's
Text expander is, because you've been telling me about it for a while, and I've been resistant to it, but I'm generally resistant to systems in general. So I'm definitely going to do it this time, but tell people what it is.
All right. So what text expander is, the best way to explain it is you can type something and it will expand. So semicolon M will type michael@yourownpay.com. And that is my email address. So text expander is a way to expand short snippets into longer text. You can go more in depth and add keystrokes to that and do different automated stuff once you get used to it. But on a base level, text expander will let you take something short and expand it into something longer. Customer service professionals should be using it, especially if they're typing the same thing time after time, because you can type, for example, semicolon 1, and that answers the number one question that you're asked. Because if you look back at your emails, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to be typing the same thing most of the time. Max could automate his interview process when he sends out those emails, because I'm guessing he writes a custom email, but he can still add some customization to that email, because typically the email is mainly the same thing. Hey, here's my guest. Hey, my name is Max. Here's what I do. Here's my guest. Would you like to interview them? Or, hey, remember interviewing me? My name's Max again. Here's what I do. Here's my guest. Here's want to interview them. And here's what they do. Like, primarily those categories are I'm guessing the same thing, right?
Well, my intros are more custom written as far as the first couple of sentences, but then after I make my intro, then yes, it's usually just a copy of the person's bio and links and stuff like that. So does this text expander work in combination with with the various email programs, or how do you use it?
It works anywhere you type. So walk me through your workflow.
Okay, well, most of the things I do when it comes to contacting hosts for my clients is done through email. So okay. I will write a short sentence or two to start the thing, to let them know that I understand what the show is and who they are and what they're looking for and why this person is perfect for their show. And then I copy and paste the bio information at the bottom of the email. So if I understand text expander, I could create a text expander document or file for each one of my clients, and then I wouldn't have to keep an extra folder open. I wouldn't have to go back and forth and copy and paste. I could just type the semicolon or colon, and then maybe C followed by a number for whichever client, or maybe the first few letters of the client's name, so that it makes it easier for me to keep track of it.
Exactly. And there's other ways you can automate. Now, we are definitely not explaining this software to the best of its ability, but hopefully it gives you some creative ways to think about it. And yes, it can even use your clipboard and paste things within the email. I have a snippet that, for example, it will paste in all the links for subscribing to App of the Day podcast in HTML. As you know, that can be long and tedious, so I don't have to go look for the URLs and paste them in. I just type in SAOTD and then hit enter, and it types in less than a space href equals quote, link the HTTPS iTunes quote greater than subscribe to me in iTunes less than /a greater than. Yeah. All that through for Stitcher, TuneIn, and Google Play. So,
yeah, I must be doing something wrong with my email, because when I try to do that, I get the characters instead of the link. So I must have something set wrong in my Apple Mail program.
We'll have to chat about that offline.
Yeah, but the point is, we're talking about systems, something I don't do well, something that even though Michael is always out there with knowledge of what the next automation thing is. Even he doesn't always do it well, but it's something we need. It's something we all need to be thinking about, because anytime we can systematize something, we will spend less time and less thought on those tasks, and we won't hate them or avoid them so much. Because I know that when it comes to sending out those emails, I do good for the first 20 or 30 minutes or sometimes the first hour. But then after then, I'm like, come on, there has to be something I can use as an excuse not to keep sending out these emails.
Lower that barrier of entry.
The barrier of entry, yeah. Yeah, barrier of entry. So we've talked about your brief flirtation with a real job, and what you're doing now with the podcasting, your own pay network, and getting other people podcasting. We've talked about systemizing and using the example of expand text. We've talked about affiliate sales and how you are working with ConvertKit. So I think one thing we might want to talk about a little is you mentioned that you have been experimenting with Alexa, and I'd like for you to talk a little bit about that, especially because I've recently connected with a company that has now my blog posts are now going where people can access them through Alexa, and shortly my podcast episodes will be too, as soon as I move them over to a platform where they can actually get an RSS feed from them. Because up until right now, they're only going out in video, which, as you know, there's no way to syndicate YouTube. So, and there's no good way to syndicate Facebook either. So, but I'm working on it. I'm getting there. So talk to people a little bit about Alexa, and then also what you, as far as whether or not it's working for you as a blind person or for your family in general.
So our Alexa cancel setup. Hopefully I canceled yours too. Anyways, our setup with her is right now we just have smart lights hooked up. We have a smart plug-in that will allow her to turn on and off our fan, but it allows me to, as Max heard right before we got started, when I realized that we were doing video, because primarily I'm not on video, as a blind individual, it allows me to set the lighting in the room. And I'm like, set lighting 30%. Now, we'll hear, I'm sure someone's going to tell us, Michael, that wasn't good enough. Or actually the complaint we're going to get is, Michael, you were looking off to the right. I don't understand why. The reason is I was looking at my microphone. But anyways, that being said, however, I tried to face the computer towards me. That's what you get when you have blind people doing video, though. Yeah, that lady let us do the or set the lighting so I didn't forget, and it made it to where I didn't have to jump up and go check the light switch, see if it was on, which is, as a blind person, you know what it's like. Sometimes you got to go around and feel all the lights, see if they're on, because I lost light perception at 13, so I can't just walk into a room unless the light's low enough that I can feel the heat emanating from it, or resonating from it, whatever that word is. Then
I think it's emanating, but yeah. And I know what you mean. I have the same problem in my room. My first video for the Blind Blogger was famously recorded with no lights on, and I have a little light perception, but I have to be looking directly at the light source in order for it to help me. But, and the thing is I hate ceiling fans because the light source is independent from the ceiling fan. And it's like, yeah, figuring out which one of those darn cords I'm supposed to pull without having, any light to work with is just, but it sounds like Alexa helps you with that.
Yeah, you could just fix that by changing that over to like a hue light or a smart light and just say, hey, turn off the fan light, and she'll turn off that fan light, and you will never have to get your hand chopped off again.
Yeah. I've never had that particular problem because I long ago figured out how to face my hand so that it's rubbing across it instead of hitting it.
There you go. So it doesn't chop off the tip of your fingers.
Yes. Yeah. But you have to remember, you're talking to a fellow who once owned a children's carnival ride where the only way we could stop it was the operator had to stand out, and as the spaceships came around, you had to bump the spaceships with your hip until they slowed down to a stop. So
you find creative ways to get through it.
As a friend of mine used to say, poor people have poor ways. But yeah, creative solutions are something you deal with all the time. But I hate ceiling fans because of the lights. So what else can you do, or have you figured out what Alexa can do for you?
So, of course, she can play music, which is kind of boring. She can do games. Some people talk about her playing games, but I haven't done anything with games. She can play your podcast. I've listened to it once. In the beginning, it wasn't working, so I didn't really listen to it. And then I remembered, oh, yeah, I can listen to Max on there. So now she does play that. You can set up your flash briefing. I don't use that as much as I used to in the beginning. Broadcast messages throughout your house if you have multiple devices.
Well, that's probably a big thing for you because you mentioned being married and having 2 kids in the house, but you didn't mention that y'all also have 3 dogs.
Yep.
And sometimes y'all have another younger person staying with y'all. So I mean, so being able to broadcast messages throughout the house is probably a big deal in your house.
Oh, it definitely can be useful. That's for sure. You've got the 3 cats too.
I always thought. Well, see, that shows you how far behind I am. Last time I talked to you, you only had 1 cat. So
yeah.
But yeah, you mentioned that people can send their blogs and their podcasts through Alexa. I mentioned that also. But my Alexa won't play my blog. Every time I ask her to do it, she's like, I don't know that. So.
We'll have to figure that one out with you too.
So I don't know what her problem is. It could be, me and Siri don't get along either. I think it might be my accent.
It could be. And that's the problem with voice-activated technology nowadays is that no one's the same, but we already know that no one's the same. So,
yeah. Do you find that that Dragon Dictate was more reliable than some of the voice-activated stuff now because you had to take the time in the beginning of Dragon to teach it your voice?
So I never used Dragon.
Okay. So I never used it either, but people told me that was one of the things you had to do when you used Dragon was it would have some sample readings and you would have to read through those and teach Dragon what your voice patterns were like. Speaking of things that they're trying to do to help, well, maybe they're not trying to do them to help the blind people, but we get some side benefits. What do you think is the effectiveness level of Facebook adding descriptions to images on FB?
So it provides some value to the end user, but the ability for the actual poster to go in and add their own description, I think should be highlighted more in the posting process instead of like in Instagram. If you go under advanced, you can add an alt tag, which allows you to describe it instead of the blind person hearing one person, sky, outdoors. You could say, hey, I'm standing, or image of me standing on the beach and the waves are crashing in the background, because that'll get the audience for you, especially if your audience happen to be blind or visually impaired, or maybe they are and you don't even know it, but that'll give an audience an opportunity to connect with you and get a better visual scenery. So I think it's good what they're starting to do. I think they could improve that by emphasizing the opportunity for people to better describe their images to blind individuals.
Right. And for those of y'all who don't know, when he says alt or alt tag, he means alternative text tags, which is what site programmers use and what bloggers use to add the descriptions to the images that you're seeing on your website, so that when a screen reader comes across them, it will describe them to the blind user.
That is correct.
Yeah. And I did not know about that feature in Instagram. I'm going to have to try that and encourage my friends to start using it, because Instagram is one of those places people haven't really started taking advantage of the caption fields yet. So I basically follow people I really trust and don't share anything unless it comes from somebody I really trust. So I'm going to have to mention that to people. They need to start going to the advanced features and using the alt tag in Instagram.
There's a blog post that I can send you. I'll have to find it. I don't have a text expander snippet for it. But there's a blog post that will let you, it's off of Instagram, where it announced the alt tag feature and gives them screenshots to show them how to find it on each of their phones too. So I'll send that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And just one thing you mentioned a little while ago, you said, this is what happens when you get 2 blind people trying to do video. And I personally think this is a great example of people who find excuses or who don't, because basically both of us have decided, okay, we're going to do this on video because me personally, I want the video out there. It gives me two ways for people to digest my content. It gives me access to YouTube and Facebook video, which means more people are going to see and hear my interviews. But the thing is we both decided if they can't see us perfectly, if we're not in focus perfectly, how the heck with it? It's not going to affect our decision to share our conversation and hopefully help some other people to take action.
I did what I could do to improve the experience for individuals, and that is I upgraded my audio. I went and spent $60 on a Samsung Q2 or S2. I forget the letter. If you go to yourownpay.com/Max, I'll include it in that email. But I think, Max, you have the ATR 2100 access to that. You're not using it right now, but you have access to that one, don't you?
Yes, I have access to it, but I'm not using it yet. But my fellow podcasters who know me personally, I understand that that contest was fixed and y'all helped me win it because y'all know I need one. And eventually I'm going to start using it, okay? I'm sorry. I was there at Mid-Atlantic Podcasting Conference. They had a Create Podcast competition, and the team of 4 people, each of them got a new ATR 2100. It's about a $100 investment. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm cheap, okay? So I probably wouldn't have bought it on my own. I sat there and listened to all the contestants and all the entries, and I don't think we were third. But like I said, I think the fix was in, and eventually I will start using it. It's part of my goal that by the end of this year, I'll be able to do most everything I need to do on my tablet because I still got to get a dongle so that I can connect the big USB to the little USB on my tablet. I told you that part of my charm was that we don't always end up where we start out.
Right. And I was going to comment, and then I hit, because those of you who don't know, you can hit Command-Shift-A to mute and unmute yourself. So I'm trying to eliminate the background on my end, and I hit Command-Shift-S, which is apparently also the keystroke to start sharing your screen. And it's like, hey, if you want to share your screen, you need to ask for permission. I'm like, no, I want to unmute my audio, not share my screen.
Yes, yeah. And I'm glad you did that because the audio on this side from you wanting to share your screen is very distracting. So thanks for canceling that out. That's one of the things about it. You have to decide between, do I want to be able to know if something bad is happening on my system while I'm doing this, or but at the same time, if I do that, I risk being distracted by audio cues from my screen reader who doesn't always know what I need to know at the time I need to hear it or not hear it. So she's really chatty that way, isn't she, Michael?
She thinks she knows best, but years of experience have tried for me to get her beaten into submission. Doesn't work. Oh
no. He's talking about Siri, y'all. Okay, let's not get neither one of us on any kind of a list here. Okay, and I don't edit these podcasts, but so
I forgot about that.
It's just in there. And he's talking about the screen reader and all the audio prompts that we have to have. That's why I'm making it clear. I don't want to get either one of those, because you're a nice guy and.
Hey, as people have learned, we've all got our own personalities,
Yeah. But, that's just the way the world has changed. If you say something like that, you have to think, well, wait a minute. I better clear this up just to make sure there isn't any misconceptions about what I was saying. But there are, just like everything on a sighted person's phone or tablet will give you the option of sending push notifications, and you can accept those or not. You can turn them off, and you can totally block all of them if you want to. But for somebody who's using a screen reader and dependent on your audio cues from the sound card, you pretty much can't turn all of them off. And so while me and Michael are talking, I may get calendar updates. I may get notifications from VoiceOver. That's the name of the screen reader we're both using for Apple, telling me that something is going on with Zoom. And I'd say about 90% of the time it's totally meaningless, unneeded information. and just getting used to those interruptions, or blocking them out, or then going in and telling the system, okay, I don't want to hear these notifications for the next hour or whatever. It's just one of those things you deal with when you're using speech and a screen reader for everything that you do. It's, as my friend Michael, my friend Joe Pardo likes to say, the one lesson Max has taught me the most is patience, because the fact he puts up with all this crap that he has to go to because he can't see it, it just reminds me to slow down a little. Okay, we're getting close to the end of the hour, so at this point, what is the one thing that you are wanting to do, or that you're going to be doing in the next year, or something that you would like to promote, possibly as a service that you're looking for clients for? Just how do you want to end the show, Michael?
So I'll just tell people what's going on for the next quarter or so that we're working on. We just launched, I just launched with another group of blind individuals, the Blind Employment Solutions BE 101 workshop. And that's helping blind individuals with managing the process from building your copy to building your website to bringing traffic to your website. So it's a 6-week workshop that we launched, and we're going to be doing that another time because we've had people since it launched ask when it's coming out. We'll be launching a couple of podcasts at yourownpay.com, and everything is mentioned over at yourownpay.com/max, like that. And then, of course, you can follow at Payown, PAYOWN, to get access to all of the archived posts that are automatically posted to my Twitter. And yeah, that's everything, if that answered your question.
Yeah, you actually finished too quick. But so you're doing your part to help the many blind people who are unemployed and underemployed to get online with a business and do it successfully, and do it in a much shorter period of time by offering your course. Is it, am I understanding that correctly?
So yeah, I've offered a couple of courses in the past, and where I struggled with was people had a problem with either their messaging, like myself. They didn't know who they wanted to target. And as you know, I'm all about trying the newest thing, the newest technology that's going to get me more traffic or going to get me more visitors to my website. And when I'm spending a lot of time focusing on who do I want to message, and then teaching others how to do that same thing, I'm like, this isn't allowing me to grow, to learn how to generate 1,000 hits to my website, which isn't allowing me to learn how to, like, you know that in the cycle, it's not giving me the ability to learn what I wanted to learn. So we connected together with a couple of other blind individuals because all three of us are like, hey, there's this unemployment rate in the blind community. I'm not going to quote 70%, but I'm sure it's near 70%. And there's this unemployment rate, but there's these amazing blind individuals that have knowledge that could be helping other, like right now I'm working with an individual, and she is a holistic animal. We're working on her messaging, but she takes care of animals and does it in a natural way. We're working with 3 different assistive technology instructors that provide 3 different services, but when they first came and connected with us, their response was, we teach the blind how to use their computers, or we teach the blind how to use their iPhone. Well, now one of them teaches them how to use, one of them teaches teachers who work with the blind how to best jump in and use the iPhone. Another one works with blind individuals who are new to iOS devices, and they want to learn how to best get up and get going. And then another one works specifically with blind individuals who are teachers, so blind teachers who want to teach other blind individuals how to use their technology, which is 3 totally different target markets, but it's 3 different things than just I'm an assistive technology instructor.
So what you just did there is you gave a very short course on how to go from a basic niche, and then to drill down and to get more focused on what your actual target market is. And you just did that in about 60 seconds. So
oh, that was good. I like it.
That was awesome, man. If I was you, I'm
gonna grab that video and drop that on Instagram. If you want more information, head to yourownpay.com/max. There you go.
That is so. I mean, that's the thing. It's one thing to explain it, but it's another thing when you can show it and give somebody examples and do it pretty succinctly based on both of our standards. Neither one of us are good with brevity.
Right. Especially when someone's like, talk and entertain my audience. Hopefully we've entertained you and engaged you all the way to the end. My problem is some people are not very engaging, and so I have to speed them up to 4x. And then when I go back and listen, or 2x, I mean, and then when I go back and listen, I'm like, really? They talk that slow? Huh. Anyways.
Well, I tell you, I've really appreciated talking with you again, and looking forward to spending some time with you in the near future outside of the podcast, and looking forward to you relaunching your show where you interview the passionate blind entrepreneurs. Yeah, I think we're really looking forward to seeing that again. And I want to thank you for coming on the show. And as I say all the time, if Michael can do it, then what's your excuse? So thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so we had another lively conversation here at the What's Your Excuse show, and I was glad to get to have my friend Michael back on the show, especially because I know that me personally, I've also felt the pressure of bringing in more income and being more, quote, successful, unquote. I have the occasional family member who will ask me, hey, Max, you have a college degree. Why don't you go and become a teacher or a professor or something? And my answer is, that's not what I want to be doing. So I enjoy helping other people by sharing my experiences and hopefully inspiring them to take action in their own lives. I really enjoy getting people connected with other podcasts and radio shows and online opportunities so they can share their stories and grow their brands. And along the way, I've also been blessed to be able to see people progress in their business as well as get more exposure. For example, my friend Adriana Gavazzoni, who is an author from Brazil, when I first started working with her, she would not have her books printed or released or available in Brazil because as an attorney and a woman attorney, she was concerned about how it might possibly affect her with her colleagues and potential clients. So just recently, she had her book printed in Portuguese so that people in Brazil can buy it and read it easily. And she's even started doing book events down there. So, seeing somebody face a serious fear like that while they're growing their brand and expanding their business, that's another reason why I do what I do. But even I have felt pressure to quote, find a more reliable source of income, find a real job, give up this blogging foolishness, whatever expression your friends or family have used. So that was the main reason why I wanted to have Michael back on, because I know he's been on both sides of that. He left for a while, came back, and now he's really more passionate, more energized, and actually taking a little bit newer direction with some of this stuff, especially in the area where he's helping other blind people start their businesses in the right way. And I do hope that you visit him at yourownpay.com. I also hope that you will visit me at theblindblogger.net and check out my books, my latest book. And yes, it's been a while since I've had a new book out, but I'm working on a book about my first experiences as a speaker and at book signings, and it's going to be a very inspiring read. It's going to help those of you who have been considering doing a book tour, doing live in-person speaking events, and I will definitely discuss facing my fears and overcoming setbacks, because that's who I am. But if you want to buy my latest book, The Blind Blogger's New York City Adventures, How You Can Make Your Dreams Come True, just head over to theblindblogger.net/books, and you can purchase them directly from Amazon, or you can download them from me directly through sales, or you can purchase autographed signed copies and get them sent directly to you in the mail with a personal message from yours truly, The Blind Blogger. All right. I know you have lots of demands on your time. You're probably thinking about what you have to do next while you're listening to this, so I appreciate you spending some of your time with me. Until next time, God bless you, and take care out there. This is Max, and the What's Your Excuse show